master path of exile.
Chillin.
All right. This is actually my first just chatting stream, so never done it before. A lot of troubleshooting. So should be interesting here. Maybe a couple of kinks I need to work out. But yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I uploaded a video, just kind of like chilling and talking. That's really it. So yeah, I mean, right now, I guess I should just like talk about some things first of all that I want to, share with everybody. Um, you know, the 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 first one is the fact that like, I mean, you've seen a lot of D4 videos, and I played the entire Lord Hatred expansion on Penitent my first time, a top down RPG, and you know, I'm sure you saw the video that said end, meaning I'm not really gonna be playing that game anymore. And I didn't really give a reason. I kind of just like upload the video and then just bounce the fuck out, right? So yeah, I mean, there are several of like PS5 bugs on there that are in the video. So if you go back to the stream and watch the videos, I literally bookmarked and made chapters on all, I think, where all the bugs are at in the last streams. So you can go there and watch that at your leisure. But yeah, it was just kind of crazy. The bug thing happened, and then apparently, um, you know, I got a friend. They're not really YouTube streaming people, so I'm not gonna say their real name, but I'll tell you like their the alias, General Sal and Atlas. Um, more for General Sal, who told me yesterday, and he's a long term player of the game. Like he's been playing the game for years, all 10 seasons, even the old Diablo games. So even as a child, knows the ins and outs of all the mechanics, and he kind of just shared that like game went down. You know what I mean? And um, it's not really worth playing. They did a lot of things that I don't understand because, like I said, this was my first time playing, but apparently this latest season just kind of took a lot of people out, and then people jumped to PoE 2 recently. And this was before I even got frustrated with them, and then with all the PS5 stuff and the bugs and having to do certain stuff to reset the campaign, skip the campaign, it still didn't work. And, apparently it's been an ongoing issue for 2 years that people have been saying the PS5 has been, and it's only the PS5 version. Um, so a lot of people are dipping off, is what it is. You know what I mean? But despite all that and me not playing the game anymore, you're gonna see more stuff on my channel. That is the reason why. Um, Super frustrating when I got to the end of the game and the bugs hit and the bugs were still hidden. And then I'm not gonna restore my licenses and this and that. It's just kind of like too much, in my opinion. Um, so yeah. Real quick, let me do something. I'm gonna try to dock the chat. Ooh, it's actually working right now. If I can actually dock the chat, that'd be pretty cool, man. Like I'm actually looking forward to that. OBS is buggy sometimes, and like sometimes you'll try to like dock something and it just like won't fucking work. I don't know why it does that. Been doing a lot of like troubleshooting shit today, so yeah, it docked that time like perfectly. So yeah, we're gonna throw the chat over here. Uh, unlock my docks real quick. Do a little thing. Perfect. Lock the dock. So yeah, that was pretty much it. Um, and that's why I stopped playing D4. Now, let me get to the reason, like, the good thing about it. This is not like me like hating Blizzard or talking shit about Blizzard or whatever. That's not it. Um, when I played through Lord Hatred, and you know, my first experience, other than playing just the base game once, on World Tier 2, like 3 years ago, and my first ever experience in this genre, when I did Lord of Hatred, it was a 10 out of 10 cinema. There was nothing there is even though I'm frustrated with the game of D4 and what I experienced with the PS5 bugs, and then apparently this new season didn't help anything. The season just kind of came and knocked everybody off their fucking rockers as it should because the changes are crazy. I can't say anything negative about Lord Hatred. Um, unfortunately, the game bugged out, so I didn't do the vessel first. So I saw all the major deaths. But I mean, so warning right now, if you don't want to hear the Lord Hatred stuff, this is a spoiler warning. You know, to Lilith's redemption arc, which is very unexpected and very cool, to all the voice acting, to the bosses, to the level design, to Lorith's death, to the epic music that leads up to Mephisto, dude, it's fucking awesome. Like hands down, like, and the final boss fight was very very good. You know what I mean? So it's a 10 out of 10. Um, so yeah, there's nothing negative about that, and I actually loved it. But I don't really have to speak too much because I'm sure a lot of people have plenty of videos talking about D4, either praising it or talking shit about it, or someone in between. But the word on the street, you know what I mean, is that yeah, people are going to PoE too. So that's what I'm gonna be playing PoE 2. I'm gonna dabble in it here in between my JRPGs. That's the plan. Today we're gonna be watching some videos on PoE 2. I'm gonna try to find some ones that I can see what class I want to play. Um, and then we're also gonna be discussing FF14, the involved mode. I never get my thoughts on that and all the changes that are coming to FF14. Um, and then I'm probably gonna try to see what else I want to talk about. Maybe some Enshrouded gameplay, just like random ass shit, bro. We chilling, trying to get some research, trying to figure out some things. You know, what I mean, it's chatting. Um, I've been good. Happy that I'm actually figuring out the streaming shit somewhat. I tell you what, someone that's like kind of old and untech savvy to figure out OBS and how to get like an OBS camera on your phone and all this stuff and shit and like make things work without lagging, delay settings, kind of tough. But we've been doing it. Um, and it's only going to get better when I upgrade my PC and a RAM. But for now, I think the i7 doing just fine. So, without further ado, let's see if we can watch this video. If it's gonna play my headphones or not. The audio could be like on my speakers, which would be very unfortunate.
Style 2 and
Very unfortunate. So let me see. Very unfortunate. Um, I would explain it, actually. I think the desktop audio was actually off. Maybe not. Let me see. Okay, we're back. Yeah, I have different scenes, dude. So bear with me. Trying to figure out everything. So actually, I think I already know the reason. Right? Right? No. I think it has to do with the stupid fucking advanced audio problem. Yeah, dude. Why is it off? It should never be off. The OBS just resets shit, bro. Like it's against me. Like, well, why would you do that to me? Like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? Oh my god, dude. Um, Real quick, the my Discord did tell me to tell them when I'm live, so we'll do that real quick if they want to drop it and chat up a little bit. I'm gonna close it again because I don't want the fucking lag. So I know. Actually, I can read something on stream if this is interesting. Testing. Let's see. So, let's put I'm live. Chilling. Well, let me read my friend said, not out loud, obviously, on a personal Discord. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think this would be I don't think that'd be too bad to share actually. Um oh man. So pretty much without sharing too much, yeah, I had a friend who had no plans of going to PoE 2, but he's trying to join me on my first playthrough, so that's actually really cool of him. He didn't like the blocking mechanic. He thinks it's weird for a top-down ARPG. I don't hate it. Um, but since from the first game they showed us the D4, PoE 2 is a different game. It's just like so fucking different. But yeah, blocking is kind of strange for a top-down ARPG. I will admit it. When I played PoE 2, I didn't think there was a blocking mechanic. So apparently you don't have to do it. Apparently you can kind of like maneuver around and do different shit or whatnot, and you can make a build that's not blocking. But yeah, I really appreciate him though. Like, appreciate him just coming to the game again. I'm pretty sure he can find a build that doesn't block and have a good time. Anyway, let's start to watch this video now. Maybe the audio's fixed.
2025. Understanding the classes is the first step.
Not really. I just don't want to echo for you guys because if it echoes, then that's like weird. You know what I mean? So let me see. We're gonna mess with it real quick and then try to figure it out live on camera.
So let's.
Yeah, I changed a lot of shit around, dude. So I don't really know exactly if I can get it back in my ears or not. Because I like for it not to play out loud, have double echo in my fucking ears. That's not good, dude. But this thing is so fucking finicky. You know what I mean? Right now. Huh. Very strange. Very, very strange. The first time I ever experienced that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know what it's doing really. I think it has something to do with the window couch thing. But if there's an echo, let me know because maybe I don't need to hear it through my headphones. But I guess we'll just find out. Guess we'll find out. That's why we're here testing shit. So yeah, let me put it back. In case there is an echo, hopefully it won't be too loud so you guys get
Go through all the options available today and help you choose the one that fits your style. Right now, the game has 7 playable classes: Warrior, Monk, Mercenary, Sorceress, Witch, Ranger, and Huntress. Each one fights in its own way, with different pacing and specialization paths that completely change your gameplay. The Warrior is the more straightforward and strong class, working really well with sword and shield or dual wielding for those who like aggression. The Monk is fast and agile, perfect for players who enjoy combos and mobility. The Mercenary is the most versatile of the group. He adapts to almost anything, making him great for anyone who still isn't sure what playstyle they prefer. The Sorceress shines with elemental magic and quick bursts. The Witch has a more strategic feel, using summons or curses to control the battlefield. And for those who prefer long-range attacks, there's the Ranger and the Huntress. Both focused on boa gameplay, but with different sensations and flow. From building your character, pick skills that can clear groups of enemies easily and keep you alive while leveling. And pay close attention to the passive tree. It completely changes how your class scales damage, defense, and utility. Adjusting gems, gear, and the right weapons is what turns an average build into a truly strong one. And one important thing, Path of Exile 2 demands perfect skill timing. There are combos, damage windows, and bosses that punish even the smallest delay. So if your connection is stuttering, you'll feel it immediately. Lag ruins rotations, cancels skills, and sometimes even kills you out of nowhere. That's where exit lag helps. It stabilizes your network route, reduces ping, and keeps everything running smoother, especially during heavy fights. Explore each find out what fits you best. Path of Exile 2 has a huge world to learn and master. Don't let lag slow you down. If you want more Path of Exile, 2 guides and tips,
this video, I mean, it was cool. I give you a like, but like, I'm gonna need a little bit more detail, just because it's really quick. One of those quick little videos. You know what I mean? So, couldn't really see what I really wanted to play. Let me see if I can fix my audio thing. So I'll be right back because that would be nice. Because I don't know if the echo or not. That's annoying. So definitely worth if I do that. All right. Let's see if we fixed everything. I'm not sure. Probably did. You know, only one way to check though. By probably another video. Let's see here. I think I figured it out. We'll try this way first, and then we're about to try a different way. I mean, welcome to Justin's Tech Help. You help him figure out how to use, like, you know, all these fucking new settings when he chills. Exactly what is happening. No shit, bro. All right. Yeah, I had Copilot do that one. I'm like, fucking no. Shit. So what I want to do is I actually want to do like that. I can do. I want to watch the Druid gameplay, but I think all classes. You know, see, there's like no really new or this. You think this video's alright? It's 9 months ago. He's playing all classes. Kind of new update. Check it out.
Choosing a class in Path of Exile does two things. Number one, it dictates your starting location on the normal passive tree, and number two, it allows access to an additional, highly specialized class called an Ascendancy. With point number one, the normal passive tree that you gain a point on with every level up is shared between all classes, meaning that your base class choice does not lock you out of anything on it directly, but rather just determines how many points you have to spend to actually reach the different nodes on the tree.
Find out when the video
uploads. Class choice does lock you out of something, your Ascendancy. This is your actual class that is unlocked during Act 2 of the campaign. Think of your Ascendancy as a way to excel at one or two major themes or archetypes. Each base class, the one that you choose when you actually create your character, has a certain number of Ascendancy options tied to it. Most classes have two, but some have three. And every class will have three Ascendancies.
The blue bar, like,
2 leaves early access. Note that you are not locked into your Ascendancy choice, although it will take some effort to respec, but you are locked into your base class choice. If you want to swap from a ranger to a witch, you then have to level an entirely new character. Alright, with all of that said, which class should you actually choose? Well, before I give you a breakdown, start by
that's what I'm trying to figure out. What the fuck
you want to play a lightning spellcaster? Do you want to play a bow and arrow ranger type character? Do you want to play a big fire hammer bonk guy? That's all that matters. Just pick something and stick to it. Every class in Path of Exile can do everything. The skills, passive nodes, and the gear that you choose to use are not locked based on your class choice. The only thing that is, again, is your Ascendancy, which is then where your archetype comes into play. This is the main difference between classes and Ascendancies. It's how well they can do each archetype. You can make a spellcasting warrior, but it's probably not the most optimal, especially if you're a beginner. And one final thing, please, whatever you choose to do,
put like weapons on different classes and shit.
Build guide. No, it will not ruin your experience in any way, shape, or form. Let me describe it like this. Think of using a build guide in Path of Exile the same way as you would use a formula sheet on a math or a science test. You still have to find all of the data points for yourself, plug them into the formula correctly, and then get the desired outcome. You can't just get the answers right away. It's the same exact thing here in Path of Exile. Following a guide does not magically just solve all of your problems and become a total turn your brain off, hold your hand, snooze fest. And yes, obviously, if you're the type of player who likes to figure things out for yourself, don't follow a build guide. I'm not your dad. I'm not going to stop you. I know most of you probably just rolled your eyes at that, but you would be surprised at how many comments I get. They're like, actually, when I follow a guide, it just ruins the enjoyment of the game, and I like finding things for myself. Yeah, buddy, that's you. Now think about all the other players, especially ones that are clicking on a beginner-centric video, and what do you think that they're trying to do? Maybe get more information? All right, but
I'm trying to learn, bro. Yeah, I'm trying to get some info, bro.
Why not to get fucking owned, you ask? Well, do you not like tier list or something? Like, what do you mean? Who doesn't like a good old tier list? Come on, brother. I want to make it clear here that ranks are not based on the overall power of each class, but rather based on their accessibility for newer players. I better not see
so he actually does
comments,
get
man.
It's
not based on the power.
Eventually.
Okay? Path of Exile has a metric booty butt ton of options. You will see dozens of different builds using the exact same Ascendancy class. Therefore, the purpose of this tier list is to point you in the right direction and alleviate as much frustration as possible. And one last time, follow a guide. I'll leave links in the description below.
Yeah, dude, follow the guide. There's no point why you shouldn't follow the guide.
Starting here in S tier, these are the Ascendancies that you'll almost certainly have the best time with as a beginner due to their Ascendancy nodes providing extremely obvious power right away with no downsides and synergizing extremely well within their respective normal normal passive tree regions. Also, it's important to note that the exact effects of the ascendancy nodes that you see in this video may not be accurate, as some are being changed in the upcoming 0.3 patch, but the theme and the general feel of each class will be as I described.
I'm kind of just checking out
Deadeye, Sorceress, Invoker, and Titan. For the Deadeye, she gets a ton of movement and action speed that is very easy to maintain, has nice generic boosts for everything projectile related, and even has the option for some nice protection against one-shots, something that most builds struggle to find. If you want to shoot your bow and arrow at things and move fast, Deadeye is almost certainly your best bet in 0.3. Next, Stormweaver. It's kinda in the name. You want to cast spells, you came to the right place. Cast speed, crit chance, the ability to proc other spells off of spells, that's the Stormweaver. Note that fire spells have historically been considered the weakest between the 3 different elements, and the Stormweaver does not have any fire-specific nodes, and does have some for cold and lightning, so keep all of that in mind when you're looking for some 0.3 build guides. Next, Invoker. He's the staff guy. Almost all staff skills deal either cold or lightning damage, and the Invoker provides great generic power for both, as well as some very nice defensive options in scaling energy shield. Also, in 0.3, we're getting a new keystone on the normal passive tree called Hollow Palm Technique, which allows you to use staff skills with your fists. Hollow Palm is located in the Monks region, so expect to see a lot of Invoker builds utilizing this new node. For the final S tier ascendancy, Titan. All warrior ascendancies are pretty self-explanatory, defensive options in scaling energy shield. Also, in 0.3, we're getting a new keystone on the normal passive tree called Hollow Palm Technique, which allows you to use staff skills with your fists. Hollow Palm is located in the Monks 3, we're getting a new keystone on the normal passive tree called Hollow Palm Technique, which allows you to use staff skills with your fists. Hollow Palm is located in the Monks region, so expect to see a lot of Invoker builds.
That right there. Really? I actually need to do a little bit more research on this. I believe you said like what Hollow Palm, because that seems like super legit. I mean, really? Holy shit! I was shocked to hear that because typically I didn't think you can use your fists, like your bare fist, in the game, but apparently you can use your bare fist in the game, dude. What? And it's viable? Definitely deserves more research. You know what I mean? That one deserves more research. Not sure about like the Pacifics or whatever, but if I can use like my fist like Akuma or like Street Fighter or like fucking Zell or Snow or Tifa Lockhart from FF7, like what the fuck are we talking about, bro? Like that shit is legit as fuck, but you know what I mean? So that's interesting.
Utilizing this new node. For the final S tier ascendancy, Titan. All warrior ascendancies are pretty self-explanatory, but Titan is the most. Almost every single Titan in existence takes the hulking form passive, which increases the effect of all normal passive tree nodes by 50%, making it
there's a lot of
impossible to screw up by playing a Titan, as those small nodes are always going to synergize well with whatever your current build is.
A lot going
Past
on.
that, he provides
the
again
gameplay
strong generic increases
hard
to damage and
kind of like Dark Souls.
Now, the reason why I keep using the word generic is that, and as you'll see when I describe the lower tier ascendancies, a lot of nodes require heavy investment elsewhere or have highly conditional aspects to them before they truly shine. Therefore, the more generic a node is, the more value it provides you as a new player, as you don't have to worry about any min-maxing aspects. You just plug and play. Moving on to A tier, these classes still have a lot of generic power, but can also have some more crazy aspects associated with their nodes. Amazon, Smithikatava, Warbringer, Infernalist, Witch Hunter, and Gimling Legionnaire. Almost everyone playing Amazon does so for her ability to gain a massive amount of flat critical strike chance based on accuracy, making it extremely easy to reach high, if not guaranteed, crit chance. While the ascendancy node that grants this mechanic is getting nerfed in 0.3, it still should provide nearly an identical effect due to player accuracy increasing and monster evasion decreasing, both of which makes that crit scaling more effective. Past that, Amazon offers some projectile-specific elemental bonuses, great for spear builds, and some interesting options for damage, evasion, and resource recovery. For Smithikatava, the highlight of this guy is definitely his ability to solely focus on fire resistance, having it apply additionally to cold and lightning. This simplifies capping your resistances greatly, which is one of the pillars of learning Path of Exile. Past that, Smith offers mostly fire-centric options with the ability to forego random stats on his body armor and instead smith it himself. Next, Warbringer. He's all about getting straight into the face of enemies. While the other warrior ascendancies obviously share the same sentiment, Warbringer excels at this due to his block and Warcry emphasis, both of which require you to be more or less within smelling distance of everything. He also loves armor break due to Anvil's weight, letting any damage that he deals break armor instead of only physical. My most popular build guide is actually with with Armor Break Warbringer, and I plan on doing a very similar build here in 0.3, so check out my Mobalytics profile, link in the description below if you're interested, and follow my stream at twitch.tv/game if you want to ask anything in real time. Next, Infernalist. Fire, and more fire. Spells or minions, take your pick, it doesn't matter. The beauty with Path of Exile is that while at first glance the Infernalist is quite overt in the synergies she provides, the more experienced you become, the more you realize that her power is actually quite nuanced.
Not even using the
Good
minions.
Beginner builds will almost certainly utilize fire damage with her, but it's by no means the only path you can choose to go down. Next, Witch Hunter. Another ascendancy that I have a written guide for. The Witch Hunter offers the most generic power of the 3 mercenary ascendancies. Given the Merc's location on the tree, you're best to stick to ranged attacks with him, either bow or crossbow, but he really is the jack of all trades for beginners in my opinion. If you want a different feeling ranged build than Deadeye, Witch Hunter is a fantastic option. Finally, for A tier, Gemling Legionnaire. Without following a guide, the power that Gemling provides would take quite some time
how,
for you to decipher as a new player, due to requiring you to lock in with your skill and support choices. But since you are using a guide,
I guess that's kind of like
surely, right?
But it's
the
like,
power
I don't
he
know.
provides is
It seems
extremely
more like
generic and obvious. Now, the reason I
and I
have
feel like you have to go
A
on
tier
lock
is
it.
because even with following a guide, it is
you can be
incredibly
like a
easy to still
necromancer
ignore
mage,
something seemingly
minions,
inconspicuous or
but
outright miss a
little
piece of
bit different
information
in this
the
one,
guide,
you know what I mean?
which then leads you to a drastically different outcome than what was intended by the author. And if this happens to you while you're playing the Gemling, it will have a more dire outcome than some of the S tier choices. Moving on to B tier, this is where the classes start to lose some of their generic power and have increasing amounts of it come from conditional or obfuscated mechanics. Tactician on the prior patch would be placed much lower than he is, but thankfully he's receiving some nice changes in 0.3 to make his power more obvious, especially for beginners. If you want to play a minion or totem build in the bottom portion of the tree, or generally are just looking to fulfill your commander fantasies, Tactician is a great choice for you. Acolyte of Chayula's story is similar to the Tactician. He's receiving some changes in 0.3, and while it's hard to say exactly how well these changes will translate for new players, it's looking like things are easier to interact with than before. If you're craving some monk stuff and want to go chaos instead of elemental, Chalupa's got you back. Now in C tier, this is where I'd start to be cautious if you're inexperienced. As I said at the start of the video, if you're the type of player who loves diving in head first and wants to learn things by yourself, then hey, by all means, use this video simply as a fast description of each class and nothing else. But for the rest of you,
spacebar. I see all the other people do it, just hit their spacebar just to pause the video. Way better. I don't really follow tier lists too much. Guides, 100%. I follow guides like all day. Tier list, you know what I mean? It really just depends. It definitely won't stop me from playing my favorite thing. You know what I mean? But that's how I feel about tier lists. Like, all because it's like C or B doesn't mean like, you know, oh, I'm not going to play that type shit. Like, that's not the type of person
I recommend that you give things a thorough second thought past this point if you initially land on one of these classes as a first-time player. Blood Mage requires you to spend life to use your skills. There is no way to avoid this. Now, obviously, the class then gives you tools to mitigate that aspect and even turn it into an upside.
It's still a cool
but
concept,
make no
though,
mistake, as a new player, the last thing that you'll likely want to do is start losing more HP. Monsters already do a pretty good job of that for you. Furthermore, while you would expect the Blood class to have some blood-themed skills associated with it, it really doesn't. PoE 2 is in early access, and that means that there's a lot of stuff that's still down the pipeline, and bleed skills are no exception here. Pathfinder is a bit tricky to describe for new players. She doesn't really excel at any one thing, which then you'd expect to mean that she grants generic power, right? Well, yes and no. Her generic power is literally just move faster while attacking, which isn't even a unique effect to the Pathfinder anymore once the patch hits, and past that, her nodes are largely flask and poison related.
What you want to do,
both
and
of
you really don't want to
archetypes,
switch off
especially flasks, are very far from being fully fleshed out. Early access. So approach them with caution as a beginner. Also, I feel like it's been long enough in the video now to warrant the same disclosure again. The ranks of the lower tier classes is not indicative of their overall power, but rather their accessibility for beginners. With that, we have arrived. D tier. Lich, Ritualist, and Chronomancer.
That's what I was saying.
Instead of describing them one by one, I'll just lump them all together with this. They're all super specific and super conditional. Lich and Ritualist only excel if you understand itemization and PoE properly, something that will take you a while to learn. And Chronomancer requires deep knowledge of the skill system and near perfect execution of your ability rotation to actually be viable. Again, it's not impossible to pick up a beginner-friendly build with these classes, but good luck finding one that's in C or D tier that does not distract you from the plethora of other things that you'll be learning while you experience PoE for the first time. And that's kind of the entire point of this video. Path of Exile is such a complex game that beginner builds are not a definitive hand-holding experience, but rather a way to deflect a bunch of information, leaving room for you to interpret the rest of the information that's coming down the barrage right in your face. The higher the rank I gave an ascendancy, the more info they deflect for you.
I think he covered all the classes, right?
Anyway, I hope this video helped those of you that needed it, and for the rest of you, it was entertaining.
Yeah,
if you have any questions...
He literally covered a lot. Let's just go back now. I think that Blood Mage is pretty interesting, honestly. I mean, I know, like,
to avoid this. Now, obviously, the class then gives you tools to mitigate that
I know,
aspect
because you
and
can
even turn it
mitigate
into
the
an
blood,
upside.
but then, like,
make no
obviously,
mistake,
like, for a
as a
beginner
new player,
player,
the
losing
last thing
life
that
to
you'll
gain
likely
life,
want to do is start losing more HP.
you know.
Monsters already do a pretty
I
good
think that
job
was
of that
pretty
for you.
dope. And then, Witch Hunter seems okay, because I was thinking about either Sorcerer, but honestly, since he started talking about that Monk, Invoker, dude.
And scaling energy shield. Also in 0.3, we're getting a new keystone on the normal passive tree called Hollow Palm Technique, which allows you to use staff skills with your fists. Hollow Palm is
Let's look that shit
located
up
in
right
Monk's
now.
region.
Hollow Palm Technique. That's exactly what the fuck I want to look up, because, you know. I don't know how to even spell this shit. Oh! You know what? I put a fucking H, bro. What the fuck is that, man? What the fuck is that? Come on, man. I gotta do better than that. Gotta do better out here. 2 days ago, and we have someone that is doing a Hollow Palm build here. So this ought to be interesting. I'm gonna say that. You know what I mean? Check it out.
iStrike Monk has been one of my favorite builds to play across all of Path of Exile 2, and with the new martial artist ascendancy, we're bringing this classic build back for patch 0.5. So this is going to be my Hollow Palm iStrike League starter that you can use with any Monk ascendancy, but I think it's going to pair extremely well with the martial artist. The best thing about Hollow Palm is that you do not have to worry about having a good weapon, as you just use your fists instead. So for League starting and for SSF, this build is perfect. It has consistently high damage throughout the campaign, and thanks to its freeze mechanics, you can nuke down bosses with ease during the campaign. When you get to the end game, it's also a mapping powerhouse, combining the power of the heralds to chain AoE all enemies in sight. In this setup, we'll summarize what changes are happening to the build in 0.5 and how that favors League starting iStrike Monk, the new ascendancy nodes with martial artists and how they'll pair with this build, and then we'll go over how to progress your Monk through the campaign, and also some initial starting points for the end game, so you can quickly scale this build to tier 50.
This is my class. I'm locking it down. I don't want to play anything else. I am using, if I couldn't use my bare fists in a game, I typically go with it because I just like that shit. And now you're telling me in a top-down ARPG where, like, the rest of the games, I don't know if D4 doesn't have a fist. They have Druid. That's a bear and a werewolf. That's the closest thing you can get to, like, a Monk actual, like, you know, Zell, Tifa Lockhart, Bruce Lee, Mike Tyson vibe. You can't get that shit in D4. But you're telling me I can get it right here. So what are we talking about?
Mapping and beyond. I'll be updating this build live as I level up. Build planner will be down in the comments or description below. So what's changed with iStrike Monk in 0.5? Well, the biggest change for me is that Tempest Bell has been buffed. The maximum number of bells we can summon has been increased at base to 3 instead of 1. This is absolutely insane because we can drop the overabundant support gem now. And for the campaign to nuke bosses, we can drop down up to 3 Tempest Bells, which is going to be nuts. To compensate, there is a slight damage decrease with Tempest Bell, but the increased number of bells
he's explaining, like, the actual build. Let's go to, like, the actual
as well.
moves.
So let's move on to the martial artist ascendancy. Now, I know a lot of people are super excited for Way of the Stone Fist, which is going to transform our gloves into a more potent version. But for League starting, I think there are going to be stronger ascendancy nodes to chase first. For our first ascendancy points, we will want the Hollow Focus node. This is going to summon ghost spells around us that, when struck, create even more shockwaves. However, like more importantly, this lets us get the Hollow Resonance Ascendancy node for our second set of points. This is going to attach a permanent bell onto our back, which adds even more shockwave AoE damage whenever we crit. I think this is going to be absolutely amazing, as previously we didn't use Tempest Bell much when we were mapping or moving across the map during the campaign, so this will add even more AoE damage into the mix. For our third set of ascendancy points, I think this is going to be the perfect time to take Way of the Stone Fist. Good gloves with a lot of flat damage aren't found readily in the first 50 to 60 levels of the campaign. Take Way of the Stone Fist. Good gloves with a lot of flat
Fist of the Stone. With low mana, +1 to melee skill. Quality aside from. So this shit is like just your weapon.
Damage aren't found readily in the first 50 to 60 levels of the campaign, so I think this is going to be a waste taking this very early on in the game. After the third ascendancy is around the time you'll start looking for better gloves, so I think that will be the best time to take this node. This node will convert flat damage onto your gloves into gain as extra percentage damage, which scales way better into the end game. There are tons of other bonuses like more evasion, more energy shield, more maximum resistance, if you do have resistances on your gloves. And for unique gloves, it can completely change the benefits it provides. I'm sure there's a unique glove or two pairing that will be insane with this Ice Strike build. Finally, our last set of ascendancy points will be Way of the Mountain. Every time we immobilize an enemy, which freeze counts as, we will gain Mounting's Teachings buff, which gives us 20% more damage, and enemy hits will deal 70% less damage to you, if the hits were to deal 30% or less of your maximum life. That is absolutely insane, both offensively and defensively. Depending on how squishy we are going into mapping, this may even be preferable to take as your third ascendancy node instead of the fourth, but we'll decide on this when we go live with the build. Okay, so let's move on to the campaign. There's going to be a heavy focus on Act 1 because starting Monk can be a pain if you do it wrong. So when we first start out, we use our basic quarterstaff attack and we use Falling Thunder. Our first skill gem we want is Glacial Cascade. I preferred Glacial Cascade to Killing Palm because we can maintain our distance safely against enemies when hitting them with this skill. I definitely just had way less deaths with Glacial Cascade over Killing Palm. Glacial Cascade does have an optimal distance where the biggest ice spike at the end of its range does the most damage. So you'll want to keep that optimal distance, and you'll figure that out quick when playing with this build. For Glacial Cascade, we want to focus on putting support gems into this skill first to boost its damage. We take Concentrated Area as our first support gem to boost its damage by 30%. The loss of area doesn't affect as much. Then we take Rage 1 so we can gain an additional 30% damage to melee skills when using Glacial Cascade. Our second skill gem we get in Clearfell, and we'll want to get Frozen Locust next.
Okay, so he's trying to give you the Act 1, Act 2. So he's giving you all of the acts with all this shit, and he gives
Peace and Amulet combined. The Amulet can be an expensive slot to get lots of additional spirit from, so you'll want the majority from your chest piece.
Overthinking anything,
this will let you run 2 more spirit gems. The first you want to run is Herald of Thunder. This just improves Herald chaining by combining with the Herald device to create these massive AoE ice and lightning effects across the screen.
More of the Hollow Monk. So he had a build. He has a build. I swore I see the other guy though. It is all one day ago. Okay, so.
Welcome, Monk Martial Artist just got even better. We already tested this setup and it's absolutely insane. But with access to Hollow Focus and a few new support shenanigans, it will be absolutely incredible. In today's video, we're going to talk about these support tricks so you're ready and hyped for the 05 release. For this, we have to look at a few keywords of the Hollow Focus skill, which will periodically spawn bells around us that we can interact with, hit, explode,
so what's the release of this,
bonus damage. The most important words would be, the belts are themselves always primed for stun. They can be culled.
Okay, so he's doing...
We'll have to
I think he's still doing like a bow
generating
staff
a power
build,
chart.
though. Is it fist or no?
Just gain from it. Simply add a prolonged duration support.
Okay.
Moving. Why is this one interesting? Because we're going to play the Whirling Assault. We're going to be moving forward as you're whirling assaulting around.
Okay.
Having reduced movement.
No, yeah. So that's dope. Good video, but I was trying to see someone who can use the fist. This is the one who uses the fist. A lot of people are trying this new martial artist monk. You know, pretty cool though. I mean, I think I may follow the Ice Strike monk build. Let's see if I just type in something like this. I bet you I type like PoE2 fist build, fist only. Okay, so that pops up. So his are popping up pretty good too. Let's see here.
Hey everybody, Runner here. 0.5 is starting very soon, and my martial artist league starter
okay,
mode
so what we know is that 0.5 is not here yet. So my question is, where's 0.5? When's it start? May 20 today. Literally 0.5 is today, so I can play this fish shit and this martial arts monk as of today and onward of the stream. What are we talking about then? That's all I need to know. I need to see nothing else. There's nothing else I need to see. That's what I'm gonna do. Super badass, dude. Like, let me tell you, like, I was really shocked to hear that you know, that you can do that. I can't believe it. You know what I mean? Wow. So you're saying that I can play just a fist. Well, I'm sure different variations. This is still very new. This is 1 day information, but I can just play PoE 2. My next top-down RPG, I can use a fist only now because they actually added the gloves to actually making your fist do weapon damage, and pretty much something that I wanted in D4 that I couldn't achieve. So I kind of just went with Necromancer because I just decided to play the game, to play the tool that the game gave me, which is fine. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying that's bad or nothing, but yeah, I mean that's what it is. So that is what's up, dude. I can't believe it. But that's badass. So yeah, I think PoE 2, I'm gonna go as monk and try to go for the fist build. That's already solidified. So that's my future plan probably for my next top-down RPG. PoE 2 and go in as the fist only monk. So that's next thing I want to look up, guys, is I actually want to talk about FF14 Evolve mode. Or I don't know if there's an actual like surprised no one like, or I could look up. I don't know. I'm saying maybe like changes, be more broad. Is there actual like the actual fan fest I can look at? That'd be better than other. I think this video here has everything I need. Oh, there's actually a panel right here that the people are explaining the involved in reborn combat modes. That's really what I want to see. So let's check that out first.
Hello, Mioni here. Welcome back to another video. This time we're covering the developer panel that's talking about the new Reborn and Evolved combat modes. This took place on day one of FanFest 2026 at the Anaheim Convention Center for North American FanFest. This talks all about the Reborn and Evolved combat modes and what they are. This features Yoshi P as well as the battle system planner Hikaru Tamaki-san, whom has been responsible for a plethora of content, including duties, job designs for certain expansions, PvP systems, job HUDs, high-end duty adjustments, and so much more, and is responsible for this new system. They go into detail firstly then about what the modes are and why.
Oh, this is this password, okay. I kind of wish they would make more like hard mode variation of dungeons. Like I think they could make hard mode dungeons of like, for instance, the Electrochemical Research Facility and the Ridoriana Lighthouse or Hakai Manor or the Tamter Deepcroft. I think that's already hard mode, but just the ones that don't have a hard mode. I think we can use more hard mode. So that'd be cool. You know what I mean?
Is responsible for this new system. They go into detail firstly then about what the modes are and why they're making this decision. They say they wanted to build a system that even more players will enjoy for years to come. That ultimately led them to the decision to have 2 modes instead of simply 1. The Reborn mode, which is being based on existing job actions and mechanics, means that you'll be able to keep playing the way that you do now into the future.
For now, but
that doesn't mean that they're not going to be making small adjustments and additions going forward into 8.0 onwards. But the fundamental mechanics will still be grounded in what already exists. On the other hand, the three most distinguishing features they say of Evolved mode are firstly the redesign of the system to better highlight the characteristics.
All right, let's check it out. So we have so you can toggle between modes at any time outside battle. Job level shared, no need to relearn actions. Gear shared, no need to gather mode specific gear. That's cool. Evolve mode available when unlocking job. So just when you unlock the job, you get evolve mode. All content clearable with both modes. And this is something important to notice. So like, because I don't know how people feel about this. I think some people are like kind of pissed off. Not really pissed off, but they're like, oh man, they're trying to make the game easier. Oh man, they're trying to like simplify my combos and shit. You know, because I know when Summoner went really easy, like a lot of people were like bitching about it, really like just like sour. I didn't give a fuck because I say, well, who cares? I mean, look at anyway. But I think that, and then well, all new jobs will only have evolve mode too. So I think it's a good thing. You know what I mean? I think it's a good change. You know, but I'll get more to that later.
Of each job. Secondly, they wanted to feature completely different action rotations than the Reborn version. And thirdly, they wanted to make things easier to understand by reducing the amount of actions necessary to set to your hotbar. Those are the three tenets of this new system. Yoshi P says, touching what we discussed on the keynote, he was looking at the social channels. He did see how people may have misconstrued the concept of evolved versus reborn modes. People were thinking that evolved mode is making reborn mode more easy, but that is not the case. There are also comments that this evolved mode might be just created because we want to accommodate for the Nintendo Switch 2 version, but again, he reiterates that is not the case either. It just so happened that those announcements happened at the same time. And so again, the concept again is to make accommodations for busy people and trying to find the time to play video games. Also, new players who may not be familiar with the different configurations, or people who have experienced other games and are now jumping into Final Fantasy XIV for the first time, for them to become used to the battle system with fewer inputs. It's not like they're trying to simplify or make it easier on them, he says. It's meant to be a different concept than that. He says, as they mentioned, we use Dragoon as an example. Of course, there are some shared elements, but for the...
It's definitely not a bad thing. I mean, so what he said, I don't know how good the audio is yet on his YouTube video. I think y'all can hear it pretty good on your own devices, but it's still like a testing stream, chatting, chill stream, whatever, so I don't really know. But I do think that it does help new players. A lot of players, you know, they'll come into the game. You know, I mean, you get overwhelmed. FF14 can be overwhelming if you're a new player. There's a lot going on. Not so much in the Realm Reborn. Not even so much Heaven's War Stormblade there. I mean, I say after Storm's Blood. That's when you'll probably start feeling like, you know, things have really amped up on difficulty and a lot more mechanics to follow and a lot more brain power being used to survive, especially if you're playing DPS or healer or even a tank. I mean, unless you're playing warrior and you're like an unstoppable god, which kind of are in dungeons, you can still feel it. And I think it's good to, you know, minimize some of the actions. I think it's good to, you know, give new players not such an overwhelming experience, because the whole goal is like we want people to play the game and enjoy the game. You know, simplifying the buttons down. I don't know if it's gonna be like Viper, because Viper to me is already very simple, and so is Picklemancer. But if it's even more than that, then because I mean the game keeps coming out with more and more actions, eventually there's gonna be too many damn buttons. And if you're playing on console like myself, it's already kind of pain in the ass to handle all the buttons in the first place. So, as a PS5 Pro player, you see no complaints from me. You know what I mean?
Most part, you're getting a different experience between the two modes. The rotations will be different, and it is a separate mode from each other. A little more recap then from the keynote of what this is. Basically, this is a system that you can toggle between the two battle modes anytime outside of battle. Your job level is shared with no reason to relearn actions. They're all learnt for you if you learn one. Gear is shared with no need to gather mode-specific gear. Evolved mode is available when you unlock your job for the first time, and all content is clearable with both modes. Reborn mode is available only for the existing 21 jobs, and all new future jobs will only have the evolved mode going forwards from 8.0 onwards. To reiterate, adjustments are being made, but evolved mode is indeed slightly stronger in terms of DPS at the time of recording during their testing. They might change things in the future. Okay, on to Tamaki's presentation. Here is an example of Paladin actions. So here, both the Reborn and the Evolved mode actions on either side of the screen. As you can see, there are quite a few less on the right side with that Evolved mode. That is because many abilities...
Okay. So this is very, very interesting. Extremely interesting. This is very, very important to look at. So this really explains exactly what they're doing and exactly how the game is kind of changing so dramatically. And people keep talking about this evolve mode. I never looked at it like this before. So I do want to say this is a very good YouTube video. So I give it a like, right? Very, very good YouTube video. He did very good coverage here and did a lot of work in editing. So much respect there. Let me see here. Hold on. Before we dive into this screenshot here. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and dive back into the screenshot. Oh, was I still on this the whole time? Oh, my bad. So now you could probably see it. My bad if I was just zoomed in on my camera for a long time. We'll go back and I'll explain everything about PoE if that was the case. I don't know how long ago that was or whatever, but that's why we're going to be talking for a while. But yeah, so right here is what I've been talking about. Let's see. So this screenshot right here, the Reborn and the Evolve mode. So like you can see on this side, the Reborn mode, so you have Rampart, Reprisal, Arm's Length, Provoke, Shrink, Interject, Low Blow. I think that's Shield Lob. I forgot what that one is. I think it's Total Eclipse, Circle of Scorn, Holy Circle, Ball Rock, Sentinel Guardian, Divine Veil, Hollow Ground. That's probably like the 3 attacks. Can't think of them, but Fight or Flight. You know what I mean? So like that's a lot covered at the end, and you can see how like that's how my hotbar set up on console. I have it above, but look at the Evolve mode where you're taking all of these on Reborn and just putting them all structured. And then look how much room you're saving. You know what I mean? That is actually crazy. Like super, super crazy. Like, whoo. That's insane, dude. Like, I don't even... Damn, bro.
Have been consolidated, similar to how they have in PvP, for example. The Evolved mode is much more streamlined, they say. All necessary job and role actions fit into 16 buttons exactly, or thereabouts. These abilities are being developed, so these listed may change. Looking at this might not be representative of the final product. You might wonder how they got to that number, they say. One method was consolidating basic combos into a single icon. This is the example they use. Reborn mode has Fast Blade into Riot Sword into Royal Authority on Paladin. This took 3 buttons. This full combo is now made into 1 button on the Evolved mode,
so Evolved mode
you press
is
3 times instead, taking up only 1 space on your bars rather than 3. They say we have consolidated actions in other ways as well, such as merging ones that have similar mechanics or ones that were simply AoE versions of an existing single target action. Some of you, he says, might be worried that a reduction in the number of hotbar slots might limit players by putting them at a disadvantage when attacking certain content. He says, I'm here to assure you that is not the case, as we have offset this by shortening recast timers and increasing effective potencies. For example, in Reborn mode, Paladins will continue to have the option to use the action Bulwark, but in Evolved mode, Bulwark will no longer exist. But to compensate for its removal, the potency of remaining defensive actions will be adjusted to produce similar results. And another way that we were able to consolidate actions, they say, was by changing effects on targets. There are a lot of different ways that we have the effects that are used and the names that are used between the 2 modes. Things that were similar, we have simply put together. Another unique way we've been able to consolidate actions was by changing their effects based on the target you select. If we take the action Divine Justice as an example, depending on whether you use this on an enemy or an ally, its resulting effect will change to either Holy Spirit or Clemency. Then we have actions like Cover and Shield Bash. These are both actions limited in their scope of use, they say, but they are characteristic to the power.
When cast on enemy, effect is Holy Spirit. When cast on ally, the effect is Clemency. So pretty much Holy Spirit does both. Will the icon change or just what it does?
Paladin job. So just like Divine Justice, similar setups for these actions are being planned, with the actions dynamically resulting in different effects based on the target or other conditions in general. We're also making adjustments to role actions in Evolved mode as well, he says. Those absolutely required to clear a certain battle will remain untouched, but those we have determined that can be consolidated or removed altogether will be. So an example for tanks is that Provoke and Shirk will be consolidated into a single action known as Scales of Enmity. If you use Scales of Enmity on an enemy, it will inflict Provoke. If you inflict this on a party member, it will invoke Shirk. They say some of you might be thinking with this kind of consolidation that in cases where you would normally use both of these actions in succession, that you wouldn't be able to do that anymore. To alleviate this potential problem and make sure players will be able to use both of these as they always have, they will give Scales of Enmity 2 charges to use however you wish.
Interesting.
Another example of actions being changed is that Low Blow will be phased out and its stun effect will be added to the remaining action Interject. So basically we're cutting the overall amount of keystrokes from all jobs and their action rotations, they say. We're aiming to make things easier to understand, ultimately making the job more accessible for more players.
So this is literally insane. I think I need a recap. Just on full screen, just to make sure, because I know I was full screen for a long time, and I never even fucking, changed back to the window. But yeah, let's do a recap of what's going on in this Evolved mode. Is literally insane. This is fucking insanity. Like, pretty much they're taking the actions and they're really consolidating them into one button. Your 3-hit Paladin combo is now going to be one button. A move like Holy Spirit for Paladin, which did magic damage, and then Clemency, which was the Paladin's healing skill, can now, I think it's just Holy Spirit, and depending on what you target, enemy or your ally, it will do the corresponding effect, damage or healing. Also crazy, less buttons. And then what we just learned about the Interject and the fucking Low Blow, that's crazy because these are very important tanking skills in FF14. Interject literally has to be done in some fights. Or like you'll take some major fucking damage. Like some moves need to be interrupted. The tank has to do it. Low Blow too is always good because sometimes there's some big AoEs and your DPS teammates or even you can't escape in time, people are not really accustomed on how to evade properly with their backdash, and it's just stunning is also a good thing to do. So the fact that that's kind of incorporated too, definitely easier, definitely good, because I know, because I tanked everything to level 100 so far, because I really like tanking in FF14. I put all the roles, but tanking is cool, and I can always tank any day, anytime. It's always in my rotation. So just the fact that you have like low blow and interject together, they're not separated. This is like some good stuff, man. Let's make sure we don't fuck up again and actually go back to our window capture. Yeah. Crazy.
So another aim, they say, is to make each job feel unique, so they show footage of 4 different jobs, starting with Paladin. They mention here there's a disclaimer that, similar to the live letter showcases, this is an even earlier than they normally would show piece of footage, so this is very much all early development and all subject to massive changes. Showing off the Paladin then, as you can see, there is a section zoomed out on the UI. They didn't have the job gauge currently working, so they did this instead, which features the same information, but obviously a very early build. They demonstrate the Paladin and they spawn in some enemies, and for Paladin they focused on streamlining rather than removing too many abilities by consolidating. So as you can see, Fast Blade here turning into Riot Blade, then Authority. They then use Divine Justice on the enemy, becoming Holy Spirit, and when on a party member this becomes Clemency.
Show me. Oh my god.
Imperator turns
so like
to
the icon
the blade
change,
skills with just one button as well, so you just have that one button to press rather than other buttons. And a new thing they're trying is the addition of countering certain actions at the right time. So for example, on successfully stopping an attack with Holy Sheltron, they can use Answering Strike, which is a new counter ability. If a Paladin executes Holy Sheltron just before the action goes off, they get something called Satisfaction, which is a much more
trying to tell me we have like actual like timed prairies now in FF14. We have like reactionary combat. That's pretty much like a reaction based attack. Like you're playing fucking Dark Souls or Neo and you're parrying. I mean, like, that's what it seemed like to me.
More potent counter ability. So it's all timing or skill-based counter-actions that they are introducing to some of the tanks. We'll get to that later.
Crazy.
There are plenty of other new abilities being shown here in the footage as well. Paladin has always been a job, they say, with lots of button presses, so we focused on making meaningful consolidations. We didn't want to simply remove actions. We wanted to keep things interesting and fun, so we kept things that keep them interesting. For example, Clemency and Cover can be used in consolidation techniques to make them more fun, interacting with the party member here, looking pretty cool, honestly, for Clemency and Cover. Shield Bash also made the cut, and it turns into Shield Lob at ranged and Shield Bash at melee.
Oh, good,
dynamically
Shield Lob
switching depending on
like,
your
Shield
range.
Lob need to be consolidated. That's
They
your main
swap to
tool
Yoshi-P's viewpoint here,
like,
and they show Provoke and Shirk, which is the same button, depending on if it's an enemy or another player targeted, shifting dynamically to that situation. As you can see, the synergy between the tanks here is quite a bit different than what you would be used to maybe normally in the game, and this offers a new experience of job gameplay feel with a new evolved
tanking
form.
is so much more accessible now, dude. Tanking is so accessible
melee
now.
DPS specifically, and specifically Dragoon of our second preview of 4
Let's see
jobs.
how Dragoon changes.
So moving on to Dragoon then, compared to Reborn mode, they say Evolve mode changes are very significant, with job action mechanics being almost completely different from the Reborn mode. So if you look at the HUD here, they say you'll see stacks of Dragon's Bane gauge. This gauge will fill up gradually over time when you're engaged in battle. These stacks are then spent to execute powerful direction-based weapon skills. Executing Sinister Drive from the enemy's left will increase potency, and then executing Dexter Drive from the right of the enemy will also increase potency. Then after using both Sinister and Dexter, you will also have the ability ready called Winged Chaos,
I'm
which
glad
if
they're
used
not
from behind
taking out,
will
this is like
give
a
you a
personal
significant
thing, but I'm really glad they're not taking out, like, I mean, not directionals, positionals. I'm glad they're taking out, I mean, they're not taking out positionals, because I think positionals really kind of give players the ability to kind of move around a lot. Some players like to move around the enemy. Some players like to go behind, flank, left. I think it's a very good thing that, Dragoon, Viper, Monk, Reaper all keep their positionals, in my subjective opinion.
Damage bonus. To offset this increase in difficulty created by this additional layer of attack directional specifics, they say we've added a little bit more leeway to allow for attack execution timing. They say they've also added a new jump, which is called Vengeful Jump, that ignores the directional requirement of the next weapon skill used.
Really?
And whilst this is not specific to Dragoon, Tamaki says, to let players know that they've successfully executed directional attack correctly, we'll be adding more intuitive graphical feedback across the board.
I may have to play Dragoon.
Another big change is the addition of Blood of a Dragon. Blood of a Dragon accumulates each time a Dragoon executes a vengeful jump, and when it reaches its maximum charge of 3, it readies an attack called Star Diver. Using Star Diver then grants Life of the Dragon, which in turn allows for the execution of a powerful combo. In addition to executing Star Diver, this will also grant Sky High, and this is an ability where players can fly high into the sky, landing several moments later to deal massive damage. Very similar
that's
to
like
Limit
Kane
Break
from Final
in
Fantasy
PvP,
II.
if you've done that.
If y'all know, like
Sky
Kane
High, then they say
Final
was
Fantasy
designed to
II,
feel
or
like a
I guess you
legacy
could-
Final
no, Kane
Fantasy
is the
jump
one.
ability.
I would
So
say
whilst
Freya from Final
airborne, we
Fantasy
originally
IX,
wanted the
but
player
Kane
to
is
take
definitely
no
the one that's
damage.
more
But after
similar
realizing
to
we
Sky
couldn't
High,
go for that
I
due
wanna
to
say.
certain boss mechanics, we chose to have slightly less, but still around 90% damage reduction at the moment. This may change, they say, based on how tests go, but mention how going overboard
I think Sky
can
High's a great idea.
sometimes
That's
be
pretty cool,
more
actually.
fun with job abilities.
Because like you can save
They do
yourself
one
with
last
Sky High.
rotation through the abilities, and it looks incredible in my opinion. Looking like a
It looks
streamlined
more than
yet
incredible.
still
Dragoon has
identity-rich
gotten.
set of job
It was already
abilities.
badass. It got even better.
At this point, I was definitely
You got
more
even better.
impressed than I thought I would be. Tamaki-san mentions
all
how
very
this
impressive.
isn't specific to Dragoon, but all of the jobs we have tried hard to make these new rotations that are not only something fun to play, but also represent the feel of each job. So for Dragoon, he
Evolve
says
mode for the
that was
win.
about making those signature
W
jump
for
attacks
evolve
and
mode, bro.
combining them with improved Blood of a
W for
Dragon
evolve
mechanics
mode.
to create something that feels really slick and tight. And like Paladin, he continues with Dragoon, there was also originally a glut of these actions, so we worked on paring down that number as we went. And then we move on to the next job, White Mage. Straight onto the gameplay then, no messing
so
around.
we're at the
So
tank,
with White
the
Mage,
DPS, now we're
out
on the
of
healer.
all of the healing jobs, they say White
All right.
Mage is already fairly easy to use. And they say that's probably why there's a lot of people who play it. That's why we wanted to make the transition from Reborn mode to Evolve mode as smooth and as accessible as possible. That said, there are still some major differences.
already I can see
First off,
difference.
as you can see
Everything
on
is
the
just on
HUD, the
one
Sanctity
line
gauge.
of L2 and
This fills
R2,
every
or
time you
LT and
cast
RT.
a healing spell on an
That's
ally.
big right there.
You see him use High Cure here. You can see the gauge fill as he's healing. This is directly connected to the new action called Holy Sanctuary. This then, once cast, depletes the gauge and deals damage in proportion to that stack. So basically, they say the thinking behind this is to prevent the inevitable DPS loss that occurs when using global cooldown healing spells. So this becomes especially relevant in some of the more high-level content, where a lot of times white mages are asked to ignore global cooldown healing to make sure parties don't fail DPS checks. So we want healing to be a healer's main priority, they say.
Yes, this is a good workaround for that. I think that, it's kind of like a thing where most of the time, my favorite healer, who is tough, I recently maxed them all to 100. For the simplicity factor, I like White Mage, but I think Scholar is my favorite healer because if you play that class right, you pretty much can save yourself and your whole team very, very easily, because you can just prevent a shit ton of damage, but you kind of got to know like what to do. But it's not very hard once you figure it out and watch a guide. It's kind of a known thing where like if you're a healer, you want to be DPSing, especially during the times where the boss has no mechanics going. You can see the mechanic going on the top of the boss line going up. You know what I mean? But there are times where the boss is literally just auto attacking the tank. That's your time to DPS, or at least set a dot. It helps. It really does. I don't think you should just stand there and do nothing as a healer. For one, that's boring as shit. And then two, you know, you have some DPS tools in your kit, I think, for a reason to be utilized. But this is a great thing to do right here to kind of help alleviate that. I don't know. I don't get mad at people in this game. I don't say anything. You know what I mean? Like I don't like oh I don't put in the chat like oh you should be doing this. To me, that's not cool. I'm just like chilling out, having fun. So some people do that, but this should alleviate, I guess, everyone to make them happy or whatever.
New feature is meant to do just that. Yoshi says there will be cast time involved, but by casting a global cooldown heal, you will still be able to attack, and it's kind of like a heal plus. Here, have a DPS ability, and that's how we will have it for the evolved mode. So in conjunction with this, we've removed casting times for most white mage attack spells. We want the main focus to be on healing spells with their cast times and not on the attacks. By making non-healing basic attack spells instant and not on the spells, we want the main conjunction with this, we've removed casting times for most white mage attack spells. We want the main focus to be on healing spells with their cast times and not attack the evolved mode. So in conjunction with this, we've removed casting times for most white mage attack spells. We want the main focus to be on healing spells with their cast times and not on the attacks. By making non-healing basic attack spells instant, it makes them easier to implement in rotations without disrupting healing, and easier.
It makes it much funner to play if your DPS healing spells theoretically don't have a cast bar anymore, so you're not standing there. You can move on the go. It kind of makes it like you're playing like a machinist or you're playing bar. Like you can just move while there's no that is cool. I think I'm gonna enjoy healing a lot more in this game.
Incorporate into duty content strategies.
I mean,
finally, we recognize a lot of white mages were using the same basic attack spell over and over. So they say to alleviate that monotony, we're tweaking certain spells to have different effects the first and then the second times you cast them in a row. It looks like an interesting direction, honestly, to try and focus players on healing as healers.
Really good.
And in theory, this means that it would be most optimal to use healing spells to fill the gauge and then use the damage abilities once the stacks are maximum. We'll have to wait and see what other things they change in the future, but this is an interesting decision. They say another thing they have done is to combine Aquaveil and Divine Benison into a single action and providing charges to this. It literally gives Benison and Aquaveil as you cast this on a target there. And with Temperance, to make it easier to use, we've added an extra effect to increase movement speed after casting it. So kind of like Scholar, but better, question mark? At the moment, anyway. Who knows what Scholar's going to get in the future. And the changes to the global cooldown for healing magic to ensure DPS doesn't drop. It should make it easier for first-time healers to get a better grasp of how to play the job. So if you've never played a healer before, he says, now is a great time to start. And there we go. And now we move on to the final job, which is physical range.
Like now, healing is actually going to be way more engaging than what we've been dealing with for the past like 10 plus years. Like, and I'm not even bullshitting, because if what this is true, or if what I'm seeing has all been true so far, which I'm pretty sure it is, because yes, this YouTuber is talking over the footage that Yoshi P made in a Square Enix team and giving context. But I mean, this is their test, this is their gameplay, this is their shit. So this is all very good shit. Also, notice the level cap too is 110. So 10 more levels going up for Evercold. But yeah, healing is going to be way more played now. I think Sage is going to be even more fun. Sage already had a slight DPS feel, but I'm pretty sure in Evolve mode that's going to be even better. White Mage looks fantastic. You know what I mean? Healing has so many benefits. For one, you feel good about it because, on prog it's tough, and you also get that feeling that like, okay, like I'm helping out the team, like people are depending on me. Kind of like tanking too. Every role has to play their role, or this game fails in any content. So, that's the first thing I want to say. Like, every role has to do what they need to do. If one role is not doing what they need to do, DPS, tank, or healers, then either things die slower, things aren't aggroed, and then no one lives. But this is really great to to bring more people into this specific role, because I know a lot of players didn't really like the heal. Some maybe leveled it up, but they didn't just like do it when they logged on because like, hey, like I just want to play this type shit. You know what I mean? So my opinion is better to be like it's really good to be like a jack of all trades in this game, because you get so many benefits from playing all the roles: experience, money, and levels with all the dailies. That's just my opinion.
Specifically a Bard. Jumping into the gameplay, just like with Dragoon, they say evolved mode for Bard will see some major changes. The main concept here that they're aiming for with this is maintaining that Bard strength as a supporting role to party members, but putting more emphasis on songs and specifically when and where you use them. So here we have the performance gauge on the HUD. This bar is consumed to cast Mage's Ballad, Army's Peon, and Wanderer's Minuet. So each of these songs grant parties a buff: regen for Ballad, increased movement speed for the Peon, and barrier for Minuet. Songs, they say, can be sung in any order in order to best match what is currently going on in a battle. They say also singing the songs will ready powerful weapon skills that will allow for a variety of different playstyles. For example, they say after casting Mage's Ballad, it opens up a damage over time attack, something that bards are already known for. Singing Army's Peon will open up a speedy multi-hit combo. And with the Wanderer's Minuet, which after a combo will unleash a devastating single target attack in succession here, casting one after another till boom, that massive damage there with Thrum of the Godsbow, which looks amazing. Finally, they say the other new thing for Bard shown is the Wanderer's Volley. This then is used in tandem with a movement direction on your keyboard or controller and allows the character to jump in that direction whilst shooting. So left, right, front, back. This looks so cool, and I love how there's now action-based movement skills with damage in this game. That will be so clutch and savage, and I hope they put this in other jobs as well. It's very cool. It can also be used stood still as well if you'd rather, but it's such a cool idea to damage what's move and have those jump abilities. Very nice, very cool.
Yeah,
much better than a drop back, in my opinion.
Very, very
nice. With a combo of all of them in action at once. It looks like a huge step up from what I expected for Bard. This personally gives me hope for other jobs. There really has been a focus with Evolved Mode to make them more job identity of focus with the songs here, their importance and the abilities that they grant. So I'm looking forward to what else they have cooking, honestly, for this 8.0 patch.
For sure.
Next, it said they wanted to give Bard that feeling that they are truly supporting their party, whilst also making bow players smooth and as slick as possible. So the basic rotations aren't that complex, he says.
When I played at level 100,
allow players that
I always felt like
to
I was
adjust
doing
those rotations
some good stuff for the team.
Based on the duty that they
those
are
songs
tackling,
help a lot,
making it a lot
especially
deeper
like
than
in
it appears on the surface.
Dungeons,
back to the PowerPoint for the rest of the panel then. So they say now that we've shown some specific examples of a few jobs, they want to touch upon some of the changes they're making to the entire battle system in general. So in 8.0, the following will happen. Firstly, most synergy actions will be removed from the game. Then they will adjust the levels of actions that they're required, and they will also be defining the differences of tanks by making a main and off-tank role.
Whoa. We got to freeze. So, 8.0, ever cold. Removing synergy actions, okay. Adjusting actions, acquisition levels, okay. Defining main and off-tank roles, really? Because, honestly, on the last part, whenever you go into a trial, right, you kind of just wait for the other guy. Well, if it's casual content, it doesn't matter. I mean, it really doesn't for any trial. I mean, even things after Shadowbringers like Golbez and Endwalker, or, like the harder fights, like the final boss of Dawn Trail. I mean, it really doesn't matter for those type of fights. They can still be tough. It's like higher level stuff, but it's just be better, because all I used to do is I used to just walk up and just stare at the other guy or girl and be like, do I turn mine on, or are you going to turn yours on? It was kind of like a little back and forth, like, who's going to do it. This will solve that kind of little thing that happens. It's not. This is a good thing. You know what I mean?
So let's go into detail. With synergy actions, they will be removing or changing the effects of those actions that increase party members' DPS. Those will be removed from the game. They say, whilst we understand that many players enjoy job synergy and party buffs, as part of party play proficiency, we also felt that those synergies had a negative impact to battle. Firstly, synergy actions bind many jobs to specific 120-second rotations, the 2-minute meta. They say robs players of freedom in battle. Secondly, when there's a mistake in a rotation, the result can be devastating for the entire party. And finally, the dev and battle team is forced to design new job and boss battle mechanics around these existing synergy actions. Yoshipi says coming with this decision was quite hard, especially with playing as a party tackling a boss where you strategize to align those synergies, and that's kind of what makes party play fun. That said, there are also negative points that Tamaki mentioned there, and of course with job actions and synergy from a design perspective, you see similarities across different jobs and monotony. And he says, of course, when we try to give individuality to a job, we see it doesn't align with the burst timings, so that causes frustrations. But players want more individuality, so it's been a struggle. He says, you'll be attacking a boss like it was a striking dummy. It's just stood there.
The thing is, like, Yoshi P, he has to realize you can't please everybody. There's always going to be somebody that's going to be happy with the game. They may play the game, but there's going to be something that they're not going to like. He's trying his best to try to appease the community, maybe address feedback, but the truth of the matter is not everyone's going to be happy. Not everyone's going to agree with what these changes are. And that's just the way of life. You know what I mean? That's what we deal with in life. No one's ever happy about one thing, ever. You know what I mean? But nothing I'm hearing is bad, in my opinion.
Your 2-minute burst, and then you're waiting and onwards until you finally get your abilities back. They want to make more exciting fights, so the 2-minute meta has to go. Saying with this new system, they want to break the cycle. It's about giving freedom to players to not be bound to the cycles, but also for the developers to make things not bound to the 2-minute meta, and they can do much crazier things with fights, as well as the jobs as well. On to adjusting action acquisition levels then. The plan then for 8.0 is to have the hotbar full of all of the necessary actions you would need by level 50. This will not only solve the problem of action rotations feeling too simplistic when playing level sync content, this will also help new players get a feel of jobs' different abilities and the differences between the two combat modes early on in the game. Then after level 50, they say, instead of adding new actions, they will add changes to the ones already set on the hotbar, such as adding extra effects or derivative actions.
We don't need more actions.
And finally, the distinction between main and off-tank roles. These are two paths. Both have their own characteristic playstyle in 8.0 onwards. Main tank jobs, including Paladin, as well as the new tank in 8.0 that will be added, will be focusing on mitigating damage and countering enemy attacks. That will be their role. And off-tanks such as Warrior, Dark Knight, and Gunbreaker mentioned will be tasked with lowering damage taken by allies and have abilities tied to them to lower enemy damage. Tamaki-san says, whilst most content is going to be designed to be able to be cleared without needing to worry too much about which type of tank you have in your party, high-end content such as Savage and Ultimate will benefit from taking advantage of both a main and off-tank role. They mention how 8.0 will not be the last time they update and change things, and that they plan to continue making adjustments to improve the game into the future. So basically, what we're looking at there with the roles is very similar to pure healers and barrier healers. It's the same thing with main tank and off tank. They actually have specific roles now to be fulfilled, and they have their own characteristics. So that's the dev panel. What are your thoughts on the evolved mode so far? Personally, I believe that change is good. We've had the same setup for over 10 years, as they've said before, for so long. That's what I said in my stream, and they've made some really convincing points towards making this change. And other changes.
Keep it real here.
Not particularly sad about the 2-minute meta being deleted, and the idea that this will open up other opportunities.
I think so. That whole video was great. I'm gonna go ahead and recap everything I learned from Minawi. I don't know how to pronounce it. I've seen this person before, though. This YouTube channel, I want to say. And by the way, I like the video. This is really good stuff. I think he did a good job covering this video and explaining everything. And you kind of, pause at the right times and, did some really good shit, man. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about right here. I mean, there's so much. We made it to the end now. I guess the first thing I want to talk about is more on this one because I kind of talked about a little bit more of other things, but the finding the main and off tank roles. This is crazy because like I said, for years, main casual content, off tank, main tank didn't matter. Extreme, Savage, Ultimate, it did matter. I believe most of the main tanks were like Paladins, as you can probably see in 8.0. That's what's gonna be. Or I think another main tank was I don't think War, maybe Gunbreaker. I thought Dark Knight was more of an off tank. I want to say just because like he didn't have a lot of mitigation to be alive. And the main tank is taking like most of the damage of all the auto cleaves and stuff. And then in harder content, or just later on in Shadowbringers and above, some of the trials and raids will hit you with like 2 tank busters. So on each of the tanks, depending on what you're doing. But it's kind of crazy how they put Warrior, Dark Knight, and Gunbreaker all as off tank, and then whatever this new tank is. So pretty much there's going to be only 2 main tanks. But, well, maybe I'm thinking about it the wrong way. Because can you switch it on the... Because, like, what if, like, there's, like, 2 Dark Knights in a group? Will it just, like, default somebody to the main tank? Or how does that work? Fuck, I don't know. Well, I think this is a very interesting concept. I don't hate it. I think it actually proves very interesting. See, we can just keep skipping back more here, because man, there's a lot of this is a lot, dude. I don't really mind the synergy stuff at all. I mean, I think that's fine, because I remember going on Reddit and asking like, what is a burst window? Because I really didn't understand it. It looks like, but I know that was like something that was like, it looks like they're gonna just like do something different with all that type of burst window synergy stuff, which I have no complaint with. Let's see. What else we have here that's like pretty dope? There's a lot there's a lot of cool stuff, man. Let me see. I think Dragon's gonna be dope. I think DPSs, healers, and paladins or tanks have gotten a lot going on now in the new reborn and evolve mode. I mean, paladin tanking just seems a lot easier now. I mean, just the fact that, like I said, interject and low blow together. A lot of your buttons are consolidated. Multiple button does 2 different things, as we saw Holy Spirit and Clemency. Same action, same button, just different effects depending on your target enemy or the LI. I think Shield Lob got consolidated, which is your main pulling tool. Great. Taking is going to be a lot better with this new mode, and I'm definitely playing the new Evolve mode. I am not going to Reborn mode anymore. I mean, what's the point? I mean, eventually all other jobs are going to be evolved. And then they even doing a little splash of like, yeah, you're going to get a little bit more damage too. You know what I mean? So you might as well just get with the new times and roll with Yoshi P in the new wave of FF14, because this is what it's going to be. Healing is going to be 10 out of 10 now. I mean, because that was my main complaint about healing, dude. Honestly, if I can find the footage. What was the last thing they showed? Was that Bard? I forgot when because there's no chapters in the video. Kind of like trying to figure out when he showed the healer off. I think it was like 12 minutes. Here we go. Yeah, so healing has gotten great. I mean, just the fact that they took away cast times, everything's consolidated. You know, this kind of gives White Mage what I always wanted, man. It was more kind of like DPS action. You know, there's not more of a rotation, no, but there's more to do, and I think healing needed this a lot, like a lot. You know, like it's not. I don't think it's gonna be treated the same way anymore. I mean, yes, by a lot of people community, but I think this is definitely a positive change to healing. I mean, I don't see other than negative thing. So everything is super fucking good. You know. Yeah, dude. Oh yeah, dude. The off tank sounds amazing. Like, holy shit. I'm super shocked by that, dude. Like, whew, can't believe it. That is real wild, dude. Holy crap. Hold on. Yeah, dude, fucking off tanking sounds cool. The DPS, I mean, overall, you know what I mean? I think everything is looking really promising for FF14. I mean, the fact that they consolidated this much stuff for every role is something I wasn't expecting. And I definitely one thing I do want to touch on the most is the fact that now you have active counters, like an active prairie, where you must press the ability before the enemy hits you to get an additional attack. That is some fucking Monster Hunter longsword or like lance fucking Capcom shit where like you're doing offsets and shit. That's pretty crazy for a fucking game like FF14, and it's going to be utilized way more than you think, especially if you're the main tank. Because as the video said, the main tank duties. We guys go back to that real quick because I think this is like the biggest thing, besides the healing getting like 10 times fucking better. But if we can go back to the video where we can pause it right here. And the main tank is going to be the one that is in charge of countering enemy attacks now. You know what I mean? And then the off tank is going to be in charge of lowering damage, like kind of like mitigating damage, debuffing damage. Very big. You know what I mean? So this is not a a small change. This is not like a small update. This is major things that are happening. You know what I mean? Um, there's definitely more information out there too. Um, I actually want to go back to the POE video too, because I don't know if my face cam was blocking what I mean, I'm sure you heard what I was saying, but I'm mind blown about POE 2. I'm very mind blown about FF14 right now, extremely. This is all very exciting news. I mean, now's the time to play FF14 and 8.0 because the whole game's fucking changing. And I don't know if they just want to make the game more action oriented and more consolidated just to do it, but that's what they're doing. Insane. So, let me see if I can go back. By the way, I think the stream is doing great. No drop frames. Got Sal hit the chat. My pop-up chat worked fine. Yeah, this streaming chat thing I think is working out pretty good. Just chilling out and talking is pretty fucking cool. So let me actually see one thing. Man, let me go back to the PoE stuff real quick because that seems pretty fucking dope. You know what I mean?
skill gem we get in Clearfell, and we'll want to get Frozen Locust next. This will let us summon a chunk of ice, which when hit by us or by the enemy, it will explode and deal a good amount of damage. And it's also used for freezing enemies quickly as well. We can pair this with Glacial Cascade very early.
I am trying to get it so that the chat will appear on. Because, you know, to understand how OBS works, you window capture and then, you know, the stream sees what I'm doing OBS. So if it's a window capture, you're seeing what I'm watching and all that kind of stuff, full screen and whatnot. I'll see it whenever I upload this video to YouTube in different sections. Yeah, right now my chat overlay is being a bitch, and it just won't appear, which is supposed to make the chat go on to the video. It's being very buggy for some reason. Like I have it here, it's supposed to be in the top right corner. It just never generated. I don't know why. Unless it's being covered, but who fucking knows, right? It's very weird. How that's like my last piece of the puzzle is how to figure out how to get like the chat onto the screen. You know, new streamer problems. Yeah, but I am trying to check the chat as much as I can because the pop-up chat definitely works. So we figured out one piece of the puzzle. Now, I want to get back to PoE 2. Oh. See. Oh, okay. The bit rate is too high on the stream. Interesting, because I never dropped any frames on OBS. Check it out. Check it out. That's not what I want to check out. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Oh, really? Hold on. Let's see. I know that's what I always had it at, so no, I'm not gonna change that. Anyway, I don't know if it's lagging or not. I have no drop frames in OBS, but YouTube's saying the bit rate's too high. But we'll adjust that next time. What I want to get back into is PoE 2 and what I'm playing. I figured it out, and it's great. I'm excited about it. So let's do that. Yeah.
Early on, so we use Frozen Locust next to enemies, which
so this is the build.
Maximum number of bells we can summon has been increased.
I really just want to stop
combining the power of the heralds to chain AoE all enemies in sight. In this setup, we'll summarize what changes are happening to the build in 0.5 and how that favors League starting Ice Strike Monk, the new Ascendancy nodes with Martial Artists and how they'll pair with this build, and then we'll go over how to progress.
This is Ice Strike Monk. This is a real monk. This is like using your fist, finally.
Your monk through the campaign. It's also some initial starting points for the end game, so you can quickly scale this build to tier 15 mapping and beyond. I'll be updating this build live as I level up. Build plan will be down in the comments or description below. So what's changed with Ice Strike Monk in 0.5? Well, the biggest change for me is that Tempest Bell has been buffed. The maximum number of bells we can summon has been increased at base to 3 instead of 1. This is
yeah, you pretty much get the idea. Like you can literally use your fist now.
This is going.
And then eventually what's going to happen is
you're waste taking this very early on in the game. After the third ascendancies around
have Fist of Stone on them, which theoretically makes you into kind of like an unarmed monk. Where you can use your fist. You don't need a weapon. Your fists are your weapon, and the gloves are your power. That's exactly what I've been wanting. That's exactly what I wanted at D4, except D4 didn't have it. You know, D4 didn't have the fist. So this is definitely badass. And I think, let me see if I go here again. Here. Well, that's Holopalm. I think it was actually, my bad. I think it was update all classes. Well, we had like a great video, I thought. Maybe in my history? I don't fucking know. There's something here that we watched right here.
Choosing a class in Path of Exile.
So we're gonna skip all the way past the tier list to what is called the Evoker Monk. So let's watch this
skills
again.
deal either cold or lightning damage, and the Invoker provides great generic power for both, as well as some very nice defensive options in scaling Energy Shield. Also, in 0.3, we're getting a new keystone on the normal passive tree called Hollow Palm Technique, which allows you to use staff skills with your fists. Hollow Palm is located in the Monks region, so expect to see a lot of Invoker builds utilizing this new node. For the final S-tier ascendancy, Titan. All warrior ascendancies are pretty self-explanatory, but Titan is the most. Almost every single Titan Invoker provides great generic power for both, as well as some very nice defensive options in scaling Energy Shield. Also, in 0.3, we're getting a new keystone on the normal passive tree called Hollow Palm Technique, which allows you to use staff skills with your fists. Hollow Palm is located...
Yeah, so like this, but Hollow Palm has already been implemented. This is 0.3. This is 9 months ago. 0.5 is already out, where Hollow Palm is doing great. Or 0.5 is coming, I think, today. Was 0.5. So the Hollow Palm's in full effect. This is probably what I'm going to play. I'm definitely going to be playing Monk Fist. There's no doubt about it. There's nothing other in this game that even looks remotely more interesting now that they added this. So yeah, I mean, in closing, in the stream, we pretty much got everything down. So let's just recap on my plans. My plans, I mean, is eventually we're gonna be playing some Chrono Cross. That's what I'm focusing on now. I'll probably record some boss fights for y'all. It's a very old JRPG. I might stream it at one point if you guys just want to see the raw gameplay with all the, there's no voice acting, turn-based combat, but definitely boss footage is coming. I think it'd be pretty cool to try to record that in any way, shape, or form. Either be on here, or it would just be on my PS5 Pro with my voice, or even just the raw gameplay with intro and outro. I want to upload that boss footage for y'all so you can just view it. As far as PoE2, I'm gonna dabble. You know what I mean? I like the game a lot. I like the game better in D4. Very known. I expressed this to my friends plenty of times, but now that they added Monk, that's what I'm playing. I am playing the Evoker Monk using Hollow Palm with my fist. I think that's the coolest shit ever. It kind of fits into what I'm going to try in Monster Wilds. I'm going to play Akuma. Great stuff. Can't beat it. You know what I mean? And then after that, I'm just gonna dive into some more stuff. I mean, there's still like Tales of Arise. There's still some Star Ocean games I want to go back and complete. The one they remade, Second Story. Yeah, Second Story. Metaphor. Persona 3 Reloaded. Yakuza games. Judgment. Cyberpunk Witcher. There's a lot of stuff on my backlog. Oh, Dragon's Dogma. FF Tactics. So you can see random shit anytime. you know, and I think that's a great thing. I also been thinking about Elden Ring a lot too, to do a redemption run on that. So yeah, I mean, so that's the update. That's my future plans. Now let's end with the involvement with FF14. This is great. There's nothing like I can't believe what's happening. Um, I heard about it. I got very basic information before they actually uploaded the footage, Yoshi P and his team. But now that they actually talk more about it, this is going to be an epic fucking change. Not just for consolidating your buttons. No, no, no. Way further than that. You know what I mean? I'm talking like classes have been just consolidation, yes. Skills, 2 skills can do the same thing. Interject Lobo, like I said. Holy Spirit, Clemency. Dragoon has gotten way more badass. Bard has gotten better too. I'm sure all the rest are going to follow suit. Dragoon, sky high. Literally, you can wait in the air and then drop counterattacks, where you actually have to press the button at the time the enemy attacks you. Now, an issue that people can find with this is maybe lag. You can have some latency issues, but that happens to every online game that you play that has a reactionary type style. So FF14 has good servers though, so if you're lagging, it's probably your own Wi-Fi. It's not really the server, if I'm being honest with you. But the fact that you can do that and implement that now in FF14 and get an active counter off is fucking fantastic. They still kept positionals. You can move around the enemy. This creates for players who don't want to just stand in one spot. They took away cast times for healing, and it seems like they're reducing cast times. I can't say all of it, but most of the classes have just reduced cast times. So that makes for more fast, fluid, engaging gameplay. The other things they touched on before the main tanking is the synergy thing. Like I said, that doesn't bother me at all. If you want, you can dive more into that, but that's fine to me. There's another thing that didn't really bother me. I do know that they're increasing the capacity of servers and more data centers, I believe, are going to be available. So when you're in Duty Finder, I think it's going to pull from more centers. So then even if you're like in a server, I guess is how it works. I'm not too positive on this one because I only saw one video on this a while back. But I believe that if you're like in a server that's not very populated, it'll still pull from like the populated ones and you should still be able to queue up. So this should help with queue times, especially if you're playing DPS. Queue times, not really a factor if you're a tank or healer. Will probably stay that way in this game. Another thing is, yeah, like General South said, off tank, that sounds pretty cool. You got main tank and you have off tank abilities. Not abilities, but now it's going to be centered around those two. No more just going into a dungeon and being like, oh, who's going to tank? Who's going to off tank? No, no, no. We know that Paladin and the new tank are going to be the main tanks, according to my information I saw in that video. We know that Dark Knight, Gunbreaker, and Warrior are centered to be off tanks. And one is going to be about, I think it says countering and then maybe taking the damage, I would assume. Other ones more about lowering and helping the allies, the strength. They kind of want to put a separation there, where I think is very, very fucking good. I think that's a great change. You know what I mean? I think healing is going to be far more approachable now. Everything consolidated, no more cast times. You know what I mean? A little more exciting to play. You know, hopefully this brings more players into healing. I think everything is fucking great. And this is no small change. These are very, very big changes that for the past 10 years, I believe the YouTuber said himself, the past 10 years, personally, that we've seen the same shit and now we're not. So yeah, this is a big expansion. Very, very big. Comes out in January. So you pretty much have what we're in May. You got June, July, August, September, October, November, December. You have like 7 months to catch up to current content. which is more than enough time if you actually do want to play FF14 and be current. You got a lot of time. You know what I mean? I don't really need that much time because I'm already at in-game Dawn Trail. But nevertheless, I will definitely be returning to FF14. Definitely pretty soon. My goal was November, because November, December, January, I should be done with post-game Dawn Trail and being caught up with current MSQ. Or I can even take a step back and do October, because the changes are that damn good. But the one thing that I do want to emphasize is that I will still, be playing different stuff. I don't want to fall behind, because FF14, you fall behind, you're kind of progging for like 200 hours. You know what I mean? Maybe 175 hours. It takes from ARR to the probably in-game Dawn Trail into the post-game can be about 3-4 hours of MSQ of story to get through, saying that you don't skip all cutscenes and you actually want to enjoy the game, and you don't story skip. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of things excited for the future. One thing I do want to throw out there is I do want to do like a Heavy Rain playthrough at one point, because I think it's a great game. I haven't played a game in a long time. Or Detroit Become Human, and also Catherine. Catherine is a game people don't even know about, so that'd be interesting. Without further ado, I appreciate anyone who came in on this test stream and chat up a little bit, kind of saw what was going on. Don't know how it came out. I don't really know. I know I didn't drop any frames. I know I fixed the audio, and the chat is disconnecting a lot right now. But the only thing I really noticed on this test stream is that oh, it's not saying it no more. Hold on. It was saying that the bit rate was pretty high at one point. Oh, see, the bit rate. Oh, it came out beautifully. Okay, good. Yeah, because I was trying to work through. Honestly, I was trying to work through like audio settings, making sure people heard the YouTube video that was playing, making sure that it was kind of at the right audio, also full screening it, things like that. All test in progress. But I think for my first actual live chatting stream reacting to YouTube videos, I think this is pretty cool. You know what I mean? We didn't spike down in frame rate. We didn't lag out, right? So something went right. And I like doing these. You know what I mean? This is pretty chill. You know what I mean? It's also a different style of content for my channel. Kind of shows that I'm not just the game in front of my face. I can talk for so far 2 hours now and react to videos, and it's actually not fucking bad. So nevertheless, I think it's gonna it. That will be it for the stream. One thing I would say, this stream will be uploaded to YouTube. Well, under the live section, but I will be chopping this video up into different parts. Depending on if it was PoE, FF14, the different modes. So you'll see it probably like in sections. You know what I mean? So no problem, no biggie. And yeah, guess that's it. That was actually chill as fuck, man. But so I can like eat on here and shit, and like vape on here and shit, and just chat, and it actually works, and I can stream and just like fucking just hit back. I give a fuck. Pretty fucking cool. Oh, I guess my hair color will be turning blue at one point. I know I'm still alive. I guess my hair color will be turning blue at one point. So that's cool. But I don't really know when. Yeah, you can vape on here. I mean, Copilot told me I can vape. I don't think there's a rule on it unless it's marijuana. Because if you've seen Flight's videos, like he literally just like goes to the be right back screen. What I could do is this. What I've been doing. Can't see it, right? Why did they do that? But honestly, I don't think YouTube gives a shit either way. Because I did in my last video, my D4 stream, and they didn't say nothing. But yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. I think I'm gonna get off, guys. I'm gonna eat. You know what I mean? I'm fucking hungry. So, all right, it's been your boy. I'm out. Peace.